Hello friends, welcome to Code Heaven. So last time in my last video I said that I would be making a video series on a crowdfunding application. So I'll be starting that video today. So today we'll be making a backend application in C#. From the feedbacks that I've got from previous video, I've seen many people asking a video about C#. So here goes a video of C#. Okay, so let's at first let me show you how, like, what would be the entities in this application. So let me just so in this one, okay, first, so what happens is, in a crowdfunding application, we'll need a user who can log in to the application, right? So, and the users will have properties like user ID or username, password, email, etc. Apart from them, it can have relationships. So one user can create multiple campaigns. So we'll also need campaigns, make multiple donations, and leave multiple messages or comments. And another entity would be campaign. So campaign will represents a fundraising campaign that is created by the user. So, and its attributes would be like the campaign ID, title, description, goal amount, current amount raised, start date or end date, etc. And its relationship would be like it belongs to a user, like who created this campaign, and it can have multiple donations and have multiple messages or comments. And then we need another entity called donation. So it represents a donation made by a user to a campaign. So it will have a relationship with both user and campaign. And it will have attributes like donation ID, the amount, and the timestamp. Or others could be like payment method, and so on. Then we can have one for like message or comment. A message or comment will have attributes like comment ID, content, timestamp, and it would be the relationship could be it would belong to a user who posted it, and also it will belong to a campaign, like where it's posted on. So we will make a simple these kind of relations today. So let's start a new project. So let's create a new project. Let's open up Visual Studio and create a new project. So we'll be making an API project in a backend, and then we'll make a front-end application, probably on React. Okay, let's make this. Let's select an ASP.NET Core application, and then let's make the project name would be, let's say, crowdfunding, and let's click next, and let's use .NET7. If you have .NET7, use .NET7, but it's the latest version. And in this project, I'm thinking of using the minimal APIs. So you'll also learn how to make a project on minimal APIs. But just uncheck this so that we can use minimal APIs. Enable open API support. So if we check this one, we will get the Swagger. So let's check this one as well. Do not use top level statements, so that we won't be getting the top level statements. So that's it, guys. Authentication type. So we won't need authentication type. So So let's use none. And let's use create. Okay. So we have created a new project, and it by default it will have a program.cs, and it has class program, and that's app.mapget weather forecast. So this weather forecast. So by default, it will have this weather forecast endpoint, and the class for weather forecast is this. This is actually a model for weather forecast. So that's it. We don't have any controllers in here. So once we run this application, we should be seeing a Swagger page. By default, it has added Swagger in here. Yeah. So now if we try this out, we would see, see response body for this weather forecast. So by just this program.cs file, we can get this. We got this weather forecast endpoints. So for endpoint, what it's doing is it's just using this app.mapget and slash weather forecast to map the routes of the endpoint. So this is how we do in minimal API. So let's start, but we won't be needing this weather forecast for now, so we won't use this one. Instead, what we'll be using it, let's say, let's use slash. So whenever there is slash, we would say we'll just return something like return so let's delete these one as well, and we can just say congratulations, your app is running. And we don't need this, and use this one as well. So now let's run this application. Okay, when we put this Swagger, we should be getting congratulations, your app is running. So working. Now we don't need these summaries. These summaries were for the weather forecast one. Let's also delete this weather forecast class. We won't be needing that. But one thing what we want to add in here is, since we'll be needing database to add our entities, so we'll need an entity framework. So we'll be adding entity framework core, and we'll be using SQL Server to add our database. So let's work on that. So before I add entity framework, one more thing that I want to show you guys is that in manual API, right, we don't even need these classes like the program class that we are seeing in here. You see, so we don't need these namespaces as well, and we don't need these main methods as well. So we can just remove this whole part, and we don't need these brackets as well, and it will still run. Let's press Ctrl+G format. Let's run this application, and it should run without those as well. You see, so it's less code. That's why it's called minimal API, and it's still working. You see, that's a great thing about this minimal API. So let's go to tools and NuGet package manager and manage NuGet packages for solution. And let's browse for package called Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools. And then in this project, let's install this latest stable version. Let's install this and accept. Now that's installed. So after that, since we'll be making a multi-layer architecture in this application, so let's, where is my solution explorer? Okay, let's click solution explorer, and we'll be making different layers for our different domain logics. Like for example, for our uh, entities and context, we'll be making a different layer. And for our repositories, we'll be making a different layer. For services, we'll be making a different layer. So let's make a different project, add a new project, and we'll be adding a library project where we'll be adding our entities and contexts. So let's add a class library, and name of this library would be, let's call this as a data. And yep, great. So by default, it will give us a class. But let's delete this one. We'll be adding something else in there. What we can do is, in this data file, we'll be adding entity framework core and identity as well. So let's add the entity core first. Let's go to tools, package manage console, not console, manager, and add this package, Microsoft ASP.NET Core, Identity Entity Framework Core. That's this one. And sorry, where is my NuGet package? This one, guys. And let's add that in this data project and install. So once that's installed, we'll be needing another package as well, and that package is entity framework core.sql server. So let's install that one as well. I think that's installed. Okay, it said installed. So these two packages are installed. Now let's see what else do you want to install. And yep, I think that's pretty much it. And now we'll create now application DB context class. And in that class, we will be adding some entities. Now here, let's create a new class. Let's add class application DB context. Oops, the spelling. Let's rename this. Okay, it's not renaming in here. Let's just type application DB context, and we should inherit this class from identity DB context. So let me just bring this code from another. So yeah, from identity DB context, and we'll also need roles. So we'll be adding this one. But currently we don't have this application user and application role. So we'll be creating those. But yeah, so we'll need to create that. And but what we can do is let's create these models in a different layer so that it can be like reused across different projects. The models usually shouldn't depend on these entities. Like if later on we decide to like use a different ORM like Dapper, then these models should be reusable in that ORM as well. So let's separate this data layer with model layer. So let's make a different layer. Let's add a different library project. And let's call this domain create. And inside domain, we'll be creating required models. And the models would be like application user, role, application, and others would be like campaigns, messages, donations, etc. So let's create those. For that, let's create a new folder called, let's delete this one first. Let's create a new folder here. And let's call this entities. And inside entities, we'll be adding a new class. So we'll be making models application user. Let's make this public. And inside application layer user, this application user will be inheriting this application user from identity, actually, from the identity user. And identity user. And this identity user is coming from the package that we installed before. So identity we installed in this data project, but we haven't installed that in this domain layer. So let's install that identity in this domain layer as well. So what we can do is, if we double click this package, we can see these two packages that's installed. What we can do is, we can just copy this part from here. We don't need to go to tools and NuGet package manager every time. What we can do is, we can just go to these and double click these domain entities, open this CS project file, and inside here we can just add those. But we need this item group. So let's copy this whole part just under this project group. Let's add that. But we don't need this SQL Server one here. We just need this entity framework core in here. Let's add that. So once we save this, it will start installing. As you can see, there's some background process running. In the background, it will start installing those library. So if you go to dependencies and inside packages, so this entity framework, identity.entity framework core is already installed. So once that is installed, this should be available now. You see, now we can just click using this one. So by default, like properties like username, first name, email, etc. would be available from identity user. If you need some extra columns, we can add that in here. Let's think of something. What are the extra fields that we might need? So yeah, so we won't be needing any extra at the moment. The one thing we will need to map is we need to map these application users with the user roles, because later on we might be needing roles such as admins or developers or the public users. So so let's make a user role. Now for user role, what we need is we need application. Let's make an application role, and since one user can have multiple users, we need one mapping table as well. So for that, we'll make application a user role entity as well. So let's make application role first. Let's add a new class called application role, and let's make this public as well. And we'll be inheriting this from identity. Let me just paste it. Yeah, something like this, identity role. And let's bring the namespace. And inside here, we need one property called user roles. So for that, we need to create a new mapping table called application user roles. Application user role. Let's just call this role, and let's make this public. And we'll be inheriting this from identity user role as well. But in here we'll also have to define of which type. Let's make this of string. And since this inside this application user role, we need both application user and application role. So let's type those. Let's type prop, double tab, and we need application user. Let's just call this users. And let's make this virtual. After that, we will also need a role as well. It's giving us some warning. No, okay, let's just put this. and another will be role application role roles. So we'll be mapping this with our application role. So there will be uh, one-to-many relations from this user and role. So we need to identify those. So what happens is one user can have multiple roles. That's why we need a collection. We need to tell our entity framework that we have these kind of relations. So let's go to this user and let's add collection. Perhaps I collection user role application role. Let's just call this roles. Since one user can have multiple roles, so that's why we need to let's call this user roles, and let's put this word sign here. So by default, if you put this, later on, if we use something like eager loading or lazy loading, by this feature, entity framework will know how to load this data. Okay. So we need to do same thing in this. Let's copy this node in this application role as well. So there can be many roles. That's why we will be using, and inside application role, application user role. Yeah. So application role. So let's say we have a role called admin or normal users. So one user can have many user roles. So that's why we need to make a one-to-many relationship here. And that's pretty much it. Application. So now this part is done. Let's try to migrate this. To migrate, what we can do is, so before we migrate, we'll need a connection string. So currently we don't have any current connection string. Let's put one connection string. Let me bring the connection string. So connection string would be something like this. Let's put enter in here and the connection strings. Yeah. But you can just copy this code. So we'll be using localhost, and inside database we'll be using crowdfunding. Include result of false. So once we use this one, and what will okay, now inside our cloud program.cs, we'll need to tell this to use entity framework as well. So what we need to do is, just before this authorization, let's add this code. So the default connection from this app settings, so for this default connection, we will be get by using builder.configuration. We'll be taking the connection string from here, and we'll be using that connection string in here. For add DB context, we need to add that package in here as well, entity framework package. So for that, what we need to do is so let's add this data project in here. Vendors. Write dependencies and add project reference and add reference. I think we'll need reference both of these. So let's add the reference. Now, if you go to projects, these two library projects are included in this crowdfunding project. Now, okay, add this, the DB context is now included in this project. For app DB context, we'll be using a place using DB framework core. Still not included. Not this one. For some reason, it's not coming. Application DB context. We haven't completed this application DB context part. So yeah, in this application user, let's include this application user. Yeah, so we'll need to add reference to domain because our models are in domain in this data project. Yeah. So let's also make this public so it can be accessed from our API project. That's crowdfunding project. And after that, what we need to do is we need two codes, two pieces of, we need to override our on model configuring, on model rating, so that we can give the lessons and mapping of to the models. But before that, what we need is we need to put add DB set. So let's do that inside here. Let's create properties. Let's say DB set and just give name for application user. Let's just say users, and then application. Let's just give full name application users, application role, roles, copy this application user roles, user roles as well. But we also need to override. Let's see if it gives override. If it's not given. Inside identity DB context, let's go. Let's So this on model creating. So we need this one on model creating. Let's one is on model creating. Here, let's copy this code and let's bring it in here. Okay, that's on model. Actually, we need this one. So one is on model on configuring, and another is on model creating. There are some errors. Let's try to fix this error. So what it's saying is the name specified content fields. So we'll need to press insert this one inside the class. Let's press Alt and up arrow key, and we'll go inside this. Let's press Ctrl K key so that the formatting would be good. So on model creating method, what we need to do is we need to say give the relations. So let's I'll just copy the code from my previous project and I'll paste it here to save the typing time. You can pause this video and type this code yourself, and I'll go through this code and explain to you how it's going on. So yeah. So at first we need to write this part of code, paste or on model creating builder. We need to send this builder instance in the base model creating, and then for application user, so builder.entity, we need to give this application user and here, and we need to say give the relationship, like for example one to many or many to many relationship a user can have. So a user can have many user roles. So this role is the role that we defined before. If we press F12, so one application user can have many user roles. So we need collection of user roles. So with one user, let's see, there's one error here. Okay. There's a mistake in here. It's giving roles as well. Application role. Let's try to fix this. It should be with one user, not user roles. So inside application, there are many user roles. But inside application role, there should be one user only. So this should be actually user. Inside application role, application user role, application user. No, this is fine. So let's go back. What's happening is many user roles, application user roles. It's not application role in here. It should be application user role in here. Application user role. Okay. User roles. Okay. We'll have to make this first role. Let's go here. So what I've made one mistake in here. Inside application user, it should map not directly to role, but the user role. the mapping one. That's why it's user roles in here. But in application, the user role will have both user and roles. Inside the role, we will have the role. We can have multiple user roles. So this one is fine. So now, one application user role. Application user will have many application user roles with one user. Users. It's saying users, but actually it should just be user. Since it's not a collection, let's just make it one singular role and user. And yeah, that makes sense now. And application role. So one role can have many user roles. One application role can have many user roles. So this is of type user roles. Yep, that's fine. And with only one role. Application user role. Application role. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I think now we are ready to migrate this application. Before that, let's save this project. And yeah, let's bring application TV project in here. Now it's working. And let's go to new package manager console. If you don't have this package manager console here, you can just go to tools, new get package manager, and just type this and just click this package manager console and you come up here. Now add dash migration and just type add dash I add identity users. Now it will start building our project and give us the migration script. Oh, sorry. So our DB context project is not inside this crowdfunding, but it's inside our data layer. So we'll have to choose default project as data layer while migrating. So let's do that once again. So there's some error here. Let's try to fix this error. So it's saying an error occurred while accessing the hosting services. Continue without the application service provider. RDB context was called with configuration, but the context type app context only declares a parameterless constructor. This means that the configuration pass to add will never be used. If configuration pass to add the context app should declare constructor that accepts the context option application or base constructor in DB context. So I think I've made some mistake inside application DB context. Let's see what needs to be done here. So it's asking for one constructor, which needs to be this one. So we need the constructor here, and inside constructor we need this DB context options, and we need to pass this application DB context, and we need to pass this in the constructor of the base as well. Base, that means in identity DB context. So we'll pass these parameters in here as well. So now it should be working now. Let's go to package manager console and let's add migration. Okay, now it looks like it's working and it has given us some code. As you can see, there are two methods here. Let's close this one. One is up and one is down. And inside up, it has created a table called ASP.NET roles, ASP.NET user, and there should be one ASP.NET role claims, These are provided by the identity framework, ASP.NET user claims, ASP.NET user logins, ASP.NET user roles. So this is the one we have created, and yeah, these are a table that we will create. And if we decided to, if something went wrong, and if you want to undo the migration, then this method will be called for drop table, and these are the tables that will be dropped. Okay. So now everything looks fine. Let's update this database. So once we update this database, now it's running the code. Okay, this looks like it's done. Now in the last, as you can see, it's creating all these indexes and it's creating these tables. But in the end, it's also inserting in EF migration history. You can see, and it has added the comment that we made at dash identity users. Now, if we open the database SQL Server, let's open the database, because I hope you know how to open the database SQL Server. Since this tutorial is not about the database, and I won't be teaching you how to install the SQL Server, and I'm guessing but if you don't know how to use this SQL Server, just search over internet, Google, and then you'll be able to download this SQL Server and install this SQL Server. So for now, just use localhost and Windows authentication and just connect. If we check into the database, I have many databases here, but what I'm looking for is this crowdfunding. And inside crowdfunding, there are tables that's created at these many tables, but the ones we require at the moment is ASP.NET users, ASP.NET roles, and ASP.NET user roles, the mapping table. So whenever a user registers, their details will come in here. Now let's just select these tables. It should be empty for now. So we'll be adding these programmatically from our application later on. Okay. So after this, what we gonna do is we'll be adding other entities as well. So other entities that we need are, let's say the users are done. What else do we need? Okay, what we need is now a campaign, donation, and message. Let's make campaign first. So to make the entities, we will go to domain and let's create a new class in here, add new class. Let's create campaign. Let's make this public. And what else do we need in campaign? So in campaign, what we need is we need attributes like campaign ID, title, description, goal, amount, such. That. So let's just let's create. At first, what we need is the user ID. Let's make user ID. Let's make user. We can make. There are two options for us. Either we make user ID of type integer, or we can also make user IDs of type GUID. So what we can do is, since these IDs would be repeated in multiple entities, and we'll be making a new base entity and we can inherit them from the base entity. Okay, not just ID, there are other fields that can be repeated, like created date and updated date. So instead of typing those in here, let's make a base class. Let's just say base PNTI base entity, public class base entity. Let's make a constructor here. And in here, what we will do is we make an ID of type GUID, which would be auto generated. And in this ID, what we can do is we can, whenever this whenever this property is called, we can auto generate GUID. Let's just put new GUID in here. And let's also put things like created date, date time, and let's just call this created at. Created at. Oops, it should be of type date time created at. So by default, whenever this entity is created, we can just keep date time dot now. And another, let's just copy paste this. We also need updated at. Whenever this field is updated, we'll keep a new update time. But this won't be, so every time this data is added, we don't added or updated. We don't want this date time new. We'll just put date time new when required. Okay. So 1%. Actually, I'm doing this opposite. We'll need this data updated. So whenever there's change in this field, we need to add the updated. But created at, we just need one time. So let's not put created at. Date time now in created at. And we can now inherit this base entity here, so that this ID and created and updated would come from this base entity. So we don't need this ID in here. Now, apart from base entity, ID and created at, what else do we need? We need things like campaign ID is coming from base entity. And we need things like title, which should be of type string. We need to keep title of the campaign. And we also need description, detailed description of the campaign. So we need something like amount, goal amount. Let's just give decimal in here for goal amount. And current, let's just give current amount. So how much amount they have collected, that come under current amount. Let's say current amount raised. After that, we also need something like, let's copy this, turn this into date time. started. Let's just call this as start date. Another, let's also give end date for when this campaign was started and ended, or when this campaign would be ended. There could be other fields as well, so we'll be creating those whenever required. Okay, saying name can be simplified, so we can just put small decimal here. Similarly, we'll also need one donation entity. Let's create that as well. Let's just copy this whole code. Or what we can do it, let's just copy this file and just paste it in here and rename this and just call this donation. And inside donation, let's type donation in here. And by default, we'll create base entity. And this donation, what we need is donation ID. It will come from base entity. Donation, we'll need amount, decimal, amount of type decimal, amount. We need timestamp as well. I think timestamp would be the date when it was created, so it will come from base entity that's created at, and we need something like amount, donation ID. So how much amount would come from the amount created date. We'll need something like payment method, payment. Let's just put string for now. So later we can convert these into enums if you know what methods we will be using. So let's just use string for now. And lastly, let's use some entity for messages or comments. Let's just call this as comment at the moment. There are any comments by the users in this campaign. In comment, what we'll have is we need comment ID, which should come from base entity, and we need the string of type content. So, and so what's the content of the comment? And the type of timestamp we'll get from base entity, the created ad and updated ad. And that's pretty much it. Now let's bring in the relationships. So inside campaign, so a campaign can be created by multiple users. So one user can create multiple campaigns and make multiple donations and leave multiple messages as well. So we'll have to maintain those relations. So let's create those now. Now let's go to user. Since one user can create multiple campaigns, we need collection of campaigns in here. Campaigns. And one user can have multiple campaigns. So we need campaign ID in here. Okay, UID. Oh, campaign ID is already done. Not in here, sorry. Let's go back to user. what we need here is not the campaign ID, we need the user ID. Prop, the user ID will be of type string, and the user, let's say application user ID, and let's also give the type as well, application user, so that we can load this whenever we join campaign and user. We can bring the related user as well from this foreign key. So this application user ID would be foreign key, application user, and whenever we join, so we can get the related all the properties of the application user. Application user. Let's make this parts role. Okay. Let's make this nullable. So if you don't want to like load this part, it's not necessary to load this part as well. Okay, that's pretty much it. So one to many relation is done for campaign. So apart from campaign, what we need is, so one user can create multiple campaigns, can make multiple donation and leave multiple messages. So we need to do this same thing for donations and comments as well. Let's go to the user. One second, let's close all but this. So one user can have can make multiple donation as well. So inside donation, we need user ID, user foreign key here. So a user would be of type string, and let's make this application user ID. Let's copy this part since we will be needing this in comments as well. Let's paste this. Let's make this comment. Comments. Let's go to, let's press F12 in here and go to comment, and let's press, oops, let's use window V and press this application ID in there. But if you want to load application, we also need application user, application user. We need to add this part in donation as well. Okay, that's pretty much done. Now what we have to do is we need to go to DB context. Where is our DB application DB context here? And we need to add mention DB set in here for these. Let's copy paste this one and then add, delete this one and add the campaign in here. Campaigns in here, donation. So whatever name that we give in this field, so in database, a table would be created in these names. So if we change anything, like if we make this plural or singular, the same thing would be created in the database. Okay. comment, comments. Now on model creating, we'll do something similar like this. Let's paste this instead of application user. Let's make campaign. So one campaign can have many application user. Oops. Let's see. So before what we did was, I think we don't need to make this one separate in here. What we can do is, since application user is already there, what we have to do is just add in here that has many, just like one above. It says that e dot campaigns dot with one. It says that e dot application user. Before where we were just saying user. You know what? Let's change this application user. Let's rename this to user in here as well, because it's user over there. Let's do that in campaign as well to make this consistent. Let's say this user and dot has foreign key, and the foreign key would be your such that you are dot user ID. I think we have called this application user ID, but let's change this to user ID because it's user ID over here as well. Let's go in here by pressing F12. Let's just call it user ID. Let's make the same in comment as well. And that is required, since it's a required field because a campaign must need a user. So without a donor, the campaign is not possible. Without a user, a campaign is not possible. That's why it's a required field. Okay. So let's just copy this and let's do the same for comment as well. So one user can make multiple comments with one user. Comment will have one user and has foreign key, user ID and user required. So that's done. So we have made the relationships as well. Most will have one to many relationship. So, and let's see if we have missed anything. So campaign would belong to a user. The user is the one who creates it. Let's go to campaigns. Campaign user ID. So this is the user who created this campaign. You know what? Instead of this user, what we can say is we can say, okay, that should be okay. Campaign belongs user has multiple donation. So one campaign can also have multiple donations and have multiple comments as well. So comments can be inside campaigns as well. So let's make that as well. We need another relationship for multiple donation. So let me think how we can add a donation in here. Listen to a donation. I think donation campaign. Okay, now what we can do is we can add one campaign can have multiple donations. So we can add collection of donations in here. Donations. And inside donation, we'll need campaign ID, foreign key. So campaign ID would be of type UID. Campaign ID. And let's also use the campaign type in here. Campaign. Let's make this virtual so that we can get all the properties of campaign when we are joining campaign and donation. So inside donation, we'll have campaign ID foreign key to represent for which campaign this donation was made for. And then inside campaign and has multiple messages or comments. So many user can make comments in this campaign, campaign. So let's make comments. Comments. And inside comments, let's go and use campaign ID. Let's see for which campaign this comment was made. Campaign ID. Virtual campaign. Campaign. So, yeah. So this comment was made for this campaign ID. Okay. And then let's see if we need anything in donation as well. For donation, this donation would belong to a user and belongs to a campaign. So we also need a donated by field and received by field as well. Donation. In donation, we'll need, let's go to donation. Donation received for this campaign, donated by this application user. You know what? Wait, what? Donated by this user. And received by. We also need and who received this donation, right? So there will be two users in here. One is donated by and one is received by. So there will be two foreign keys in here in donation, not just one. So it's actually application user ID. These are both application user, but one is the donor. Let's just call it donated by. Donated by. and inside donated by, this user would come. Also, let's copy these two paths again, and one would be created by, not created by, sorry, it's received by, and let's just call this user as a donor, and this is receiver. Okay. So there will be one donor and one receiver in donation. This looks a bit complex, but once you get hang of it, you'll understand. Okay, guys. And let's go to campaign comment now. And inside campaign, what else relation do we have? So a comment would belong to a user, comment posted by, and belongs to a campaign. So comment will also belong to a campaign here. So now this comment belongs to a campaign and posted by. So this comment, who posted this comment? So there will be one user ID here and user, this is a post. So in this case, this is pretty much clear. So no need to change this one here. In donation, because there are two users, one is donor and receiver, that's why we need to change this one. Now, since we have made these changes in here, so we'll also make these changes in here as well. So these relations were before from the user's point of view. Now we'll need to make similar. Let's copy this, and here what we need is inside campaign, apart from user, we've got donation and campaign as well. So campaign has many donations with one user. No, it's either donor. One is donor and donated by. So has many donations and should be donor, I think. Yeah, donor. No, donor ID. What have I made? Donated by. It should be donated by. Donated by. What does it say? It's not. Can it convert string to domain campaign? Do you know what? Let's just make this ID. Let's make this donated by ID. And instead of donor, just call this donated by, so that it's clear. Received by ID, so that it's clear that this is a foreign key. Received by. Now if you go here, so campaign has many donations. And donation will have one campaign ID. Campaign ID. So donation will have one campaign ID. It should be this one. One campaign. Let's just say campaign. Okay. And has foreign key campaign ID. Okay. Also, there one more thing in campaign. After donation, there's comment as well. Let's just copy. Okay, let's put this one. has many comment. So it has many comments with one campaign ID. Okay, it's the same as above. Campaign and campaign ID. Okay, that's pretty much it. Campaigns relationship is done. Now let's go to donations. So let's copy this whole part. Let's put donation. So if you go to donation, this one is a bit complex. Donation will have many donated by. Are there any collection in here? No. So donation will have one donor donated by, and its foreign key is donated by ID. Okay. It's not many in here. It has one. Has one donation will have one donated by, and with one donation. So there's some mistake in here. Let's try to. I think for this one, I think instead of using this one here, and it's related to application user, we can just use this in here. Let's just copy this part in here and let's just put donation in here. So application can make, a user can make many donations with one user. Oops. Can make many donations received by. Okay, so donation would be created by. Okay, it's donated by. Which one donated by? One would be donated by ID. Similarly, we also need receiver as well. Can have as many donations with one receiver as well. Received by as one is receiver received by ID. Okay, so this relationship is done. Let's enter to separate these fields. So I think it's pretty much clear now. Our donation part is done. Now what we need is our comment part. So now comment belongs to a user and also it belongs to a campaign. So let's go to, okay, comment. Okay, so an application can have many comments. This comment belongs to this user. See, this comment is of this user. User can make many comments. And also apart from users comments, comment would be related to campaign as well. So if you go to campaign, has many campaign. Let's go to campaign. Okay, so comment is already added. Relationship to comment is already done here. Campaign can have many comments with one campaign. Okay. If we go to campaign, it can have many comments by each individual user, this user. And there's campaign ID. This comment is for this campaign ID. So that's pretty much it. I think everything is covered in here. Let's try to add new migration, add cast migration, add. So what else to add? We have added as campaign and donation, add campaign, donation. What else did we add? Let's go up in here. So campaign, donation, and comments. Campaign, donation, and comment. Is it only that much? Comment, campaign, and donation. Okay. Let's campaign. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's add this migration. The bill is succeeded. No, there is some error. Let's try to figure out what that error is. So it's saying cannot create a relationship between application user donations and donation received by, because a relationship already exists between application user donations and donation by. So what is this problem? Okay, guys, I think I made a mistake here. In the donation, I think we only need one donated by ID. We don't need received by ID since. So let's remove this one. I'll explain you why we won't need this received by. Since this donation is made on this campaign, if you go to this campaign, we have the user ID in this campaign. This user ID is the user who created this campaign. So this user ID would be the receiver ID. We don't need to specify the receiver ID in here. So to get the receiver ID, by just going to join, if you join this campaign and the user of this campaign, then we'll get the receiver ID. Okay. I hope you guys got it. So let's remove this part, the receiver part. And now, if we, where is the package manager console? Okay, let's go to tools and package manager console. Yeah. Now, if we add migration once again, hopefully this time this error would not come. Says Billy succeeded. Okay, looks like there's no error. Let's check the query it has generated. So it's creating table campaign with these fields, and this primary key is ID and foreign key is the ASP.NET user ID. It looks okay. And on create table comments is for the content, and there is user ID, the one who commented for this campaign. Okay, it's fine. So these are the foreign keys, and let's go to donations. In donation, we have amount, payment method, donated by, for which campaign. That's also fine. And okay, that's pretty much it. Now if we update this database, it should create these tables into our database. Looks like there is some issue here. Create table fail, existing DB, connection timeout 30. What it's saying is, in addition foreign key, your on table comments may cycles or multiple cascade paths, specify on delete no action, or on update no action, or modify other foreign key constraint. So we'll have to on delete no action. We'll have to use this one. So what's happening is, since they have multiple relationships with each other, and by default, this entity framework is creating referential action as cascade. So what happens when there's cascade is, if we delete this user, all its related relationships will also be deleted. For example, this user has relationship with comments, and this comment has a relationship with campaigns, and campaigns has a relationship with the user. So it's a circular dependency. See? So once I delete this one, uh, it will start deleting each other. So that's why uh, we should restrict this cascade. And to do that, we have to mention something in here. So on, let's restrict on delete. Let's just put no action. On delete behavior, no action. But on which column? Let's say it says on comments. Let's go to comment first. Dot on delete behavior, not cascade. Just put no action. Okay, I think there was one another also comments. So it's only on comments. Okay, let's just update database once again. I think I'll have to remigrate. Yep. So what I'll have to do is remove cache migration. I think it remove the latest migration. So the whatever migration we have created would come in here. So only identity user migration is here. So let's add migration once again. Okay, now hopefully there's, if you go to comments, so there is no referential cascade in comments. Oh, it's still there. Okay, on comments. So okay, so it deleted in one place. It deleted in this place, SPNet users. But I think we'll need to delete it. Okay, let's try to update this database. If it gives errors once again, then we'll remove on delete cascade in another place as well. So then it's also asking in on donations. I think we'll need to put that on donations as well. So let's put that on campaign. Let's put this on campaign and donation as well. Comments in here, campaign in here. Where is the donation part? Okay, let's put this on donation as well. Let's remove the migration. Add migration once again. Yep, that's done. Hopefully, and campaigns. There is still cascade on comments. This is gone on comments. Donations also it is gone. Let's see if we update this database. Hopefully that error will not come again. Okay, now the error is not coming. So I think the cascade on, there's only one cascade now, that's on campaigns, right? So if you delete the campaign, the comments, the related comments and donations on this campaign, if those are also deleted, that's fine, right? But if you delete donation, if suppose somebody make a mistake by donation, if you want to delete a donation, we don't want to delete the campaign when the donation is deleted. So that's why on donation, the on cascade should be removed. That's fine. So if someone wants to delete campaign, comment of any campaign, so when we delete a comment, we don't want to delete whole campaign, right? It's fine to delete just one comment or two comment, but we didn't want to delete its related campaign. Okay. But when we delete the campaign, the its related donations and comments, if those are also deleted, then that's fine. So I think that's the reason the cascades working in the campaign and not working in this comment and donation. I hope you guys understand this one. Now let's try to update this database. Or did we already update this database? I'm not sure. It should work now. Yep, it's working. Now if we refresh this database, so campaigns, comments, and donations are also coming. Hopefully its relationships, you see, its primary key and foreign key are also coming up in here. Even in comments, primary key and campaign ID, user IDs, foreign keys are also showing. And these are also in donations. The primary key donated by campaign ID is also coming. So, so this is looking good. So we have made a lot of progress today. So we have made an application in minimal API using C#. We have also made multiple layers to separate the concerns. So we have made a lot of changes, and let's try to run this application now. Hopefully there are not any bugs. It should work. Yeah, now it's working. Yeah. Okay. So in the next chapter, in next video, what we'll be doing is we'll make the crowd applications for this campaign, donation, and comments as well. We'll make crowd application, and we'll make the endpoints related to those crowds as well. And for this video, I would like to conclude this video for today because I don't want this video to be too long. And I would like to request you guys to like, subscribe, and comment if you have any issues in this lesson. If you got any issues, just comment, and I'll try to solve those issues as much as possible. But guys, don't forget to subscribe this channel so that whenever I get many subscribers, it really motivates me to make another videos as well. So if you like this video, do comment, subscribe, and like this video. And hopefully if you share this application, many other people will also get to know about this application, and I'll get many more subscribers as well. And it will really motivate to make videos like these. So if you want more and more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Okay, this much for today. Thank you guys. Hope you have a nice time.